Blast me to Calmer's skull. It's time for the Mad Merlins Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey, Issue 68, Part 1, Full Coverage. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Mad Merlins Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey. So, here we are with issue 68, and in this issue we get our third and final Canoptek Wraith. We'll take a look at that in a minute. And then in our issue, so we learn about, we have our third final Canoptek Wraith, we build and paint our Wraith, and we have Warlord Traits for our Necrons, and we also got some nice juicy background information about the Third Tyrannic War, as seen there. So before we get into the magazine, don't forget of course to give this video a like, and if you haven't already, do subscribe to the channel for more mad content. There's still plenty more to come in 2023. So, without further ado, let's go vertical and we'll take a look at our brand new Canoptek Wraith. So here we have our Canoptek Wraith, and this is our third and final one. So we also get ourselves a 50mm round base for him to go on. And we have our model. So he is much the same as all the previous Wraiths we've had. The only difference will be the types of design for his face there. So I think we've still got pretty much the same sort of thing. We've got one with a single eye, one with a split face, one with 3 eyes, and one with 3 eyes but in a different position. All in all, it's still the same as we've had. The only difference really is the tail design. This one sort of curls around up and over itself, which will be quite nice once built. We'll have a look at that in the instructions in a minute. I have finally seen the pictures of these done as scorpions, and I must say I am impressed. I kind of tempted to pick up some more of these at some point and do the same thing myself. Or at least perhaps turn the spiders into scorpions, because scorpions are slightly less creepy than spiders to some people. Not me, either way I'm not bothered. But there we have our model. Now let's have a look at our magazine. So here we have issue 68 of Imperium. We get one model, and we've already covered what's on our contents page here. So our full contents then is we have our Theatre of War for Calmer's Skull. We learn about the Third Tyrannic War. We have Trezan and Imhotep, characters for the Necrons. We have a short story, Supreme Command, building and painting our Wraith. And then we have Warlord Traits for our Necrons. And we also have our brand new mission, the Front Lines. So let's get into it. First up, Calmer's Skull, a dead world, grand bastion of the Zarakan. The war for the Ramesses system is now concentrated fully upon the dead world known as Calmer's Skull. Here, in baking heat and beset by radioactive storms, the Imperium and the Necron foe vie for supremacy in the shadow of the obsidian obelisks and jagged mountain ranges. So we've got a little bit of information here about the different areas of Calmer's Skull. So it's a world lost to time, and pretty much it's taken over mainly by the Necrons, but nature has been taking it back. But since the war in the Ramesses system, the Necrons have started to stir on the planet and reactivate a lot of their dormant facilities. The Imperium is making a heavy offensive to try and take this planet back and eliminate the Necrons from the Ramesses system. And much like our other first theatres of war, we can name each of the 2 sectors that we're fighting over. So I've got Emperor's Light and Dread Skull Plateau. Pretty gruesome. We play the mission in this issue twice, recording who wins each time. Just a little bit of fun you can do. It doesn't really matter too much. But if you've got time to play time and space, I don't have much space, but I've got the time. Actually, no, I haven't got time. I'm working at the moment on some paint projects that I'm doing for people. But yeah, if you've got time and space to play this game twice, do so. I'll be doing it once for the video after this. Moving on then to our background information, we have the Third Tyrannic War. So, only years after the defeat of Hive Fleet Kraken on Icar 4, Hive Fleet Leviathan entered the galaxy. The largest and most widespread Hive Fleet to date, Leviathan seemed to have learned from the fates of Behemoth and Kraken. Its swarms continue to pose a deadly threat to galactic life. So, while most of the Tyranids have come from the galactic east, the tendrils of Hive Fleet Leviathan have come from below the galaxy plane. So, many of the early worlds that encountered it, such as the Vitrian system, the Satice system, have been completely and utterly stripped of life. The Adeptus Astronomicum station picked up the traces of the Hive fleets there and was managed to warn the Cryptus system, although this itself fell. Eventually, the Imperium withdrew back to Baal, the homeworld of the Blood Angels, which is where they put up their final stand. So here we are. Despite the machinations of Inquisitor Krypton, Leviathan would not be easily stopped. The Hive Fleet descended upon the Blood Angels' chapter planet of Baal. Commander Dante called all successor chapters to confront the alien threat. During the bloody fighting that followed, the Great Rift tore open the galaxy, resulting in a three-way battle as the demons of Khorne, under the command of Demon Prince Carbander, started to emerge from the freshly opened warp rifts. So, plenty of blood, both Imperium and alien. It was only thanks to the arrival of Rubute Gilliman and his Indomitus crusade that the Blood Angels were saved from utter annihilation. So yeah, I've got a friend who wants me to restart collecting a Tyranid army for her, so she can beat me with it over and over. So I'm actually collecting myself a small Blood Angels army. Primarily it's going to be Firstborn, but I will eventually add some Primera stuff. And I'm focusing it around the Battle of Baal here, for the conflict known as the Devastation of Baal. Moving on, we've got some background information on some characters of the Necrons. This one is one of my favourites. It's Trazyn the Infinite. Archivist of the Solomance Galleries, Trazyn the Infinite's duty is one of preservation. In the war-torn galaxy of the 41st millennium, however, such a noble pursuit requires devious cunning and a flair for violence. Trazyn possesses both qualities in abundance. So this goes on to detail about Trazyn. He's not really up for fighting, but he has got a rather devastating staff weapon if he does need to fight. He does particularly like to collect oddities and events from throughout the galaxy. Most recently, he added Castellan Ursaka Creed to his collection, as Cadia was ripped to pieces. He also has the fabled Wraithbone Choir of Altanzar, a craft world that is nearly wiped out. And there are many others. There's even a short animation on Warhammer Plus in the Hammer and Bolt series, which features Trazyn, a squad of Black Legion Terminators, and a bunch of Drukhari as they seek to get a device that will help make a webway portal able to get from anywhere in the galaxy to anywhere else. But he's actually trapped them in a Tesseract Labyrinth, so the event carries on over and over unless they decide to not pursue that particular relic. And moving on, then we have Imhotep the Stormlord. So between him and the Silent King, I do prefer him. So when he awoke from the Great Sleep, Imhotep was not the Pharaoh of the Sautek dynasty. However, compelled by his desire to reclaim the glorious Necron Empire of old, he has taken upon himself the mantle and borne it with confidence and skill ever since. So yeah, When he awoke, the crown world of the Celtic dynasty, Mandragora, was in a bitter civil war. So the royal court woke up Imhotep, knowing he is a brilliant commander, but instead he turned the war on itself and he played for control. He eventually did win, of course, and united Celtic under his command, and he now seeks to raise the greatest Necron force in the galaxy, greater even than that of the Silent King. So he does see himself rather as the great uniter of the Necron race, so he plans to unite with other dynasties around the galaxy and try to unify the Necrons and take back the galaxy. Because if they ever did stop their infighting, I think the Necrons would be one of the most devastating threats to the entire galaxy. But yeah, really hoping this guy gets a new model soon. His current model is nice, but it's pretty old. And for an awesome character such as him, he does need to have a nice, big, imposing model. Finally then, for our background, we've got a brand new short story. This is Supreme Command. So this does continue, I believe, one of the previous stories. It focuses on the Eldari of Samhain, who are entering the territory of the Celtic dynasty. So, Eldari interlopers have entered the territory of the Celtic dynasty, risen from his slumber. The Necron overlord, Nerakar, musters his legion to meet the Necron's ancient foes. The foolish flesh and blood foes shall pay for their arrogance. Rather nice short story. It's pretty much the front line of the fighting. So we've got Cryptex, we've got warriors, immortals, tomb blades have been seen flying overhead, and the end of the battle is pretty cool. We see the Overlord himself, Nerakar, gather to him his Lich Guard, and he goes out to find the Eldari Autarch and challenge them to single combat. Really nice story, cool. Hopefully it continues. There's left on a bit of a cliffhanger there. So he stepped forwards again, swinging the blade of his scythe at incredible speed. He saw a flash of fear split his opponent's features and let out a laugh. Victory was inevitable. Or was it? We don't know. It's the Eldar. They're tricky. So yeah, hopefully this does get continued. It would be nice to have a finish to it. But yeah, really good story. Hope you, if you get a chance to read it. It's really good. So, moving on then, we have the build guide for our Canoptek Wraith. So, be careful when clipping out your components, some of them are fragile. Don't glue specific areas, these are meant to move. And make sure you glue your nodes in one at a time, so you don't mix up which ones go where. And so yeah, pretty much the build guide is much the same as the other Wraiths. He does have a slightly more hunched position to his body than the previous two. So he will lean a little bit more forward, and he has this really cool up and over curl for his tail, which I like. So yeah, really good pose, and yeah, he'll be much the same as all the other Wraiths. So yeah, there we have it. We've got the choice of the two different weapons, and you've also got the choice of the 4 heads, and you've got the 2 different claw weapons, so you have either the whip coils or the claws themselves. As I've said before, I'll be just building up the claws, and if I want to use the whip coils, I will, for myself at least, say I'm using the whip coils, and that they have been retracted. Because otherwise these guys are fairly flimsy and delicate models. And now that we have our complete paints from the last issue, we are able to finish off our Canoptek Wraith in a single paint guide. So, base the model with Abaddon Black, dry brush it with Dawnstone, wash with Nuln Oil, then pick out your weapons and gaps with Leadbelcher, pick out your top carapaces with Runelord Brass, and on your claws there. Then paint Canoptek Alloy over the face and the front carapace. Wash Cryptek Armor Shade, gloss over your Runelord Brass, White Flesh Shade over your Cryptek Alloy, Canoptek Alloy. Nuln Oil over your Leadbelcher areas. Then you're picking out all your metals with Stormhost Silver. Then edge highlighting all the blacks with Administratum Grey before painting Astrogranite on our base. Then we're picking out all the different Corax white details ready for their glow paint, which is then put on with Tesseract Glow, and a final highlight of White Scar just to help highlight the glow. And then we have our finished Wraith, so we get a nice shot of it from all 4 angles, so we can see what bits get painted what, which is pretty cool. Finally then, we have our Warlord Traits for our Necrons. So instead of using the Warlord Trait in our mission pack, we can choose to use one of these 4 faction Warlord Traits. And we've got quite a few good ones, actually. We've got Enduring Will, which reduces the damage for your overlords, or if you have a lesser character with not so much, with not a very good save, you could make him a bit more durable. So if you've got your Royal Warden in command, give him Enduring Will, he'll be alright. He won't take as much damage in combat from feeling his wounds. We have Thrall of the Silent King, which is good as it boosts the Warlord's aura abilities by 3 inches. It also allows you, when you're using My Will Be Done or Adaptive Strategy, you can select a unit within 12 inches instead of 9. So it gives you a nice larger bubble, pretty much doubles your standard aura range, which is pretty cool. So I think I'll be taking that one quite a bit. We also have Implacable Conqueror. So a nice, gives your Overlord another aura ability. So while friendly core units are within 6 inches, you can reroll charge rolls to that unit. Not many units in our collection have the core word. If you use the balanced data slate that they release for official tournaments and event games, there is quite a few stuff that has got core. I believe all the Destroyer stuff's now core. The Flayed ones are core. And I got a feeling Wraiths are core as well now. And finally we have Honourable Combatant, which gives your Warlord extra 2 attacks if he focuses all of his attacks on a single character unit. So yeah, very Saltec Dynasty this one, because a lot of them are honourable. They do keep the ancient traditions alive more than some of the other dynasties. But yeah, all very good Warlord traits, and they could be used differently for your different characters and for your different games. On the back side, we got a couple of tutorials here. So Enduring Will reduces damage by 1. So Flamestorm Gauntlets would be 2 damage, but with Enduring Will active, it's down to 1. Then Honourable Combatant. So in the fight phase, he chooses to direct his attacks only against the Dominus, and doing so, he goes up to 6 attacks instead of 4. Right. Finally, let's have a look at our mission, but we will recover this in the next video. So this is our mission, the front lines. So with the Auspex arrays done and activated from the previous battle, if the Imperium won, of course, then the front lines are now the open battlegrounds that need to be destroyed. They need to be the focus of the fighting. So in this battle, we have 6 objective markers placed out the battlefield. 2 on the central line here, 18 inches from the center. All the others are 12 inches from the center and 12 inches from that line again. So this mission, we need to do the raise objective action in order to get some bonus points. We do, of course, score points as usual for take and hold. So we'll score 5 points for each of these conditions we meet. So 1 or more objective markers, we score 5. 2 or more, we score 5. And then if we control more than the opponent, we score an extra 5 for a total of 15. We also have, as I mentioned, the raise objectives action to do. So the player A can only do the action on objectives 5 and 6, and player B can only do the action on objectives 1 and 2. We score 5 points if we raise 1 objective marker, which removes it from the battlefield, and we score 15 if we remove both our objective markers. So this is going to be an interesting game, as both sides will want to try and defend their home objectives, while also simultaneously trying to eliminate the opponent's objectives. So yeah, going to be a very fun and long battle. Right then, let's have a look at what's on our next issue. So our next 2 issues are parts 1 and 2 of Calgar and the Victrix Honor Guard. So pretty cool model. One of our best Ultramarine characters we can get at the moment. We are getting Guilliman later on, but he's pretty cool on his own. So yeah, we learned to build him in the first issue, 69, but we only get Calgar minus his fists and head. So we can't actually build it. We learn about him, and we also learn some more origins of the Space Marines from the Horus Heresy. Issue 70 comes with the frame with the 2 Victrix Guard plus all your bases. So we can finally finish building our models. We got a paint guide, which is a really nicely in-depth paint guide for painting all these guys. 2 new collect articles, and we also have a brand new mission to play. And it's going to be another big one, so we can actually field Calgar in it. Which should be quite cool, because we get his rules and stuff in there as well. So there we have it. That's the coverage for issue 68 of Imperium. I am off to build this guy and get him painted. And I'll be back for the battle report of issue 68 in the next video. So, all that's left for me to do is to say thank you all for watching. If you think I deserve it, give this video a like. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more mad content. So, I will see you next time. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.